your profit margin should be 75% of the entire project. So that should be a $3,000 job. Booking a job shouldn't feel like you've won a client. They should feel like they've won a production company because they need to be super excited about it.
Yeah.
I learned early on that Google was my main source of where I need to be getting my business.
Hey, quick question before we get started. Would you like to win a free piece of clothing from Snowman Films and a 30-minute chat about your creative journey with me? I know that I would love to connect with you, and I know that I would have loved to talk with somebody who had experienced a similar path when I was getting started. So let's make it happen. Here's what you need to do. Subscribe to the Conversations with Creators podcast, rate and review, and share it in just 5 easy steps. First, write a review on your preferred podcasting platform and rate it. 5 stars for good karma. Then, screenshot your review and share it on social media, tagging Snowman Films. Each month, I'll select one random winner to receive a free piece of clothing from our store and a 30-minute virtual coaching call with me. Again, subscribe, write a review, rate the show, screenshot that review, share it on social media, tagging Snowman Films, and get entered into a drawing for that one-on-one virtual session with me and some free swag. Thank you so much for taking the time to leave me a review. I really appreciate you, and I'm excited to see you in our one-on-one virtual call soon. Now, let's dive into today's episode. So the big question is this: how are creators like us, who aren't built for the 9-to-5, for the people who put their passion before them being comfortable, how do we turn that passion into a living that pays the bills and a life that we love? That is the question. This podcast will give you the answers. My name is Noah Mittman, and welcome to Conversations with Creators.
So, we're here in Denver.
We are.
Yep.
We're here in Denver.
I am here in Denver. You're always here, man.
Who's here?
How far outside of Denver?
Like 15, 20 minutes.
Okay, that's not bad. We're here on the shoot with my company, Skipper Films, and I knew Noah was local, so we reached out so you can help me out here because I needed some people.
Clear out up with the gig. Very thankful.
Of course,
Always appreciate it.
always appreciating good help. So, while we're here, I wanted to talk with Noah because he had a question on his Facebook page about, upscaling his business. And I know I just went through that process myself. So I know he doesn't have to go through the hassle of failing a bunch of times. Hopefully he and everybody watching this can get something out of this that might help them go forward. And some of it can be non-video specific, so it can apply to anybody out there trying their hand at entrepreneurship, because it's going to be farther reaching than just here's how you shoot a good video. It's going to be more like here's how you deal with a client, here's how you deal with a situation, and you make great content and the rest falls into place. Like, you don't have to worry about, how to make a great video. Why can't you be up here and instead of down here?
How you make your vision line up with what's actually happening, and how do you get there?
Right. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I know you probably have a couple questions. Let's, up from the top.
So let's see. The main thing, I'm just going to be straight up honest. My current problem is that I have a lot of client work and a lot of personal stuff and all that. And I have so much work that I can handle it all myself, but it will take longer for me to A, deliver to clients, B, to actually get personal projects done over time, because I need the money coming in first from the client projects, but then to keep up with my personal stuff. And C, to build out a team without, there's a crazy amount of extra money. So there's more than, I'm not like, oh crap, I'm not going to make rent. It's, I can make rent, but there's not a whole lot on top of that. So try to figure out basically a business plan on how to scale, bring on help, but at a just starting level to where it doesn't make me broke. Sure, the overhead isn't insane, but it still helps lighten the load a little bit.
That's absolutely a legitimate concern. And I had the same ones couple months and years ago. bringing on a team shouldn't be an afterthought.
Right.
It shouldn't be you take on a job, you do this, and then you realize, oh crap, I need more people, I need more help, I need someone to edit this, I need you need to be building that price in going forward.
Yeah.
Like I don't take on any projects thinking that I'm going to do this myself. I need to be able to charge the client, and I need to be paying myself as a freelancer, and then the company needs to be making some money on top of that. So if I assume this is going to take 3 people, and I'm one of those people, I don't discount that.
Right.
I pay myself what I'm worth, and then the company gets the rest of the money. But I also have inline an editor, and I know that's so far reaching because you are trying to take on as much because that gives you more profit margin.
Right. That makes sense though. Like knowing that, whatever. So knowing it from the start, like whatever the lineup is, whatever, when you go in, if you know that like, okay, this, just making the decision, like I'm not, so say editing, because I can shoot for shooting, I can handle mostly myself. I bring on bigger, I brought up to like 6 cameras on set before something. I know how to bring on a camera team. Sure. It's mostly post-production of like how to, and then so that plus like I'm doing a lot of stock video stuff right now, and having somebody to be able to do the mundane stuff on that.
Doing stock video like you're selling to is
correct. If you're selling footage to stock video sites, having it, putting it up on there, people are buying it. Sure. But like I have a ton that's just sitting there.
Okay.
And I don't have time because of a lot of projects to be able to like make that be profitable.
I've never actually gotten into the stock. It's pretty decent, is it?
Yeah, I got $70 coming in this month, and I have like not a lot of work.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's good. It's I think it's a solid business plan, and for like a
it's always so specific. Like whenever I look for stock footage, it needs to be like woman with medium to short hair sipping coffee near a window on her right side. What? You have to get so specific.
Literally, how do you name it?
I know.
Oh, it's and that's why I need to live fucking, because it's like, it's the biggest pain in the ass to like tag it correctly and it like, say, parkour action clip, like young athletic man in black shirt vaults through concrete environment and does a back, like it's so detailed, and to do that, to me, I'm not sure, I'm yelling, I don't want to blow out the audio. Anyway, to make it that specific, but then also, to do that, you basically, to make it a good thing, you have to have like 100 clips.
Yeah.
So to do that 100 times is just insane.
Yeah. That's so. Then you have to start looking at. What is your date rate? So you take your day rate, and is it worth you sitting around all day, for $70 a month?
Right.
A whole day just to name all these clips, and I've done that. Like I figured out the hard way several different aspects of my business that just weren't worth it. And even though it was making some money, I figured that sacrifice a little bit now for hopefully a greater return later.
That's the main thing on it.
And I'm not saying to get rid of this aspect of business if you have faith in it, if you've seen
there's a plan for it. Okay, there's a lot of it. I think that I have a hunch that what I'm doing with it can work.
Yeah.
But it's that passive, like do a bunch of work up front and then market it and do it correctly to where it can really come back in the future.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem is and it's hard because it's like trying to plan for future as well as current. Yeah. Because part of like a decent amount of projects that I have right now are doing I'm doing some video courses basically with different people. And I'm getting paid up front for filming, and I'm basically saying, okay, I'll take percentage of sales for editing because I believe that this will be a big thing in the future.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those, it's hard to, and that's,
by the way, I've done that a bunch of times. Like we do Kickstarter videos a lot. And I've said, give you a deal now, basically at cost, what it takes us to make it. And then all the profit comes in as a percentage of what the Kickstarter raises. I've lost my
Kickstarter. Yeah, Kickstarter is hard.
It is hard, and we've had successful Kickstarters and not successful. And the successful ones all seem to be, we'll pay you whatever a video costs, and not include you in the.
Because they understand it's again
they understand what the cost of shit is, because they just want to buy it, deal with something later.
Yeah,
and those are the ones, unfortunately, that have been successful.
Usually,
But I'm okay with that, because as long as I'm getting paid for the video, I don't want to get too greedy. I don't want to get too ahead of myself and spend. It all comes down to what your time is worth, because I don't want to spend all my time worrying about this Kickstarter and trying to promote it and do all these things.
Yeah,
Really, you're supposed to do.
Right.
Yeah. And
Not that's in your wheelhouse, not that you're comfortable with, and just because you believe in the project.
yeah. So let's go back to work.
The original question. So, basically you're saying how to scale at you build cost into the original price. Here's a great question, but to kind of piggyback off that, so my day rate's 500, and what would you, if you were bringing on, say, another editor, to edit it, but you also want to make profit yourself from the editing process? What's the breakdown of what you do on this?
So here's how my pricing works. My company charges almost exclusively project rates, not day rates, not hourly rates, not anything. We'll break it down. We'll say you'll get half a day of filming, 3 days of editing. It's probably only going to take one. Couple of revisions, and we're going to charge enough that if something goes wrong, we're still not covered. We don't have to send them a bill afterwards saying, hey, it actually extra hours, so here's the bill. The way I view it, if I can't afford a small hiccup like that, which happens all the time, then I'm not charging enough.
Right.
And I know it's such a cliche to just say raise your prices till you're happy. That's almost what it is, but you have to work your way up there. I would experiment with possibly doing a project rate, say, and make sure internally you're building all that.
Still, say not completely.
Your day rate of shooting is 500. If you want to pay an editor, reach out to a couple editors, what their
rates are, and then add percentage on top of the company on that, basically.
So I figure out what my expenses are first. So my expenses are, even if my day rate's 500, that's going to be an expense, because that's taking money away from the company and giving it to myself. So it's going to be 500 plus an editor, say it's $300 or $400, maybe $300 a day or $400 a day. And so we're at 900. And then what else might we have? Do we have rental cameras? Do we got to rent whatever? Do we have to rent a spot to shoot this video? Do you have to park for $25?
Right.
So you're at $1,000 now, just with various expenses that it might cost to make this video. That's your expense. If you're at that price, you're not making any money.
Right.
Even though you're making $500, your company's not making any money.
Right.
So a healthy margin is 75%. So you triple what so that should be a
39% on top.
So your profit margin should be 75% of the entire project. Meaning, I don't know if 75%, maybe 66, but I always try to triple. So that should be a $3,000 job. And that extra $2,000 goes straight to the company. That lets you buy gear. You don't have to you don't have to.
Yeah. That's been my biggest struggle, man. Yeah. It's like getting any extra, because from what you basically set up here, I've been scraping by. I've been with, because that's I get yeses more from.
But you still get your $500.
Right. I'm paying rent, but I'm not adding enough money to buy a lens when I need it.
It's just a mindset switch.
Yeah.
It's not anything that you have to do differently. The thing that did it to me is about a year ago, and it took me way too long to do this. I got a business checking account. Mm-hmm. Before even though I was a Skipper Films Incorporated, I was a legitimate business, I would just say, can you make the check out to Billy Hughes so I can deposit it in my account? I still do that.
Exactly. I had one when I started, and it was Wells Fargo, and then it basically closed down because it was in the early days of no money at all.
I've had one too, and it closed down.
So I had to reopen one, and really,
the way to do it is get one solid client that's going to give you, a couple $1,000 that's going to meet the minimum, because a lot of them are like, you have to have $2,500 in it minimum for 90 days, like the 90-day average, in order to keep that account.
Yeah.
So what you need to do is, once you get a fairly big job, put all that money in there, and just have that as your buffer. And the thing that has helped me go from month to month to actually having some cash stored away for things, because now, booking travel to Denver, I do that before the client gives me money now, because it saves me time, it saves me money. I don't have to wait till the last minute now, and I don't have to hound in
less stress
for a deposit invoice before I get the regular invoice.
Yeah.
So I have money to be able to travel to Denver, and that way I just get all the money at the end and just pay myself back.
Yeah.
But either way, when the money's in your personal checking account, your mindset is, this is my money. I get to use it. I'm going to spend it. When it's in your business account, you don't actively think about spending it all the time, and you pay yourself what you need.
Right.
And you can make as many, transfers as you want, but for some reason that small, and this isn't for everybody, but this is for me, that small action of transferring money from my business to my checking account seems to be like a big old hassle. And I don't want to do it more than once a month. Right. So I only give myself, I only pay myself what I need for that month, and I need to save the rest. And I'm not a saver. I'm horrible at saving money.
Me too. Much is not great with a child and wanting to buy a house eventually.
Oh, yeah, totally. But yeah, the fact that I have this now, I'm saving money.
No, that's good. Just the mindset of this is the business's money used for business expenses. I personally want gear too, but like it's for the business specifically. Sure. That helps.
Yeah, and everything's a business expense. Like there's almost everything in your life is going to be a business expense, because you're a small business, you're doing things to promote yourself. But the
interesting. So that's actually that could be a really easy thing with. So like we got coffee this morning. Having a personal debit card and a business debit card, you can just use the business debit when you know why are you here? You're here to shoot radio with me. This is absolutely a business trick for you. Never use your personal card. Yeah.
You can, but I'm not saying these are absolutes for anybody listening.
With that, you can know when it comes to taxes, you can know, like, literally it's just hire. Here's the baby. Yeah, here's what I'm writing off.
Yeah, you don't have to scour as much.
Yeah, 100%. I need, because this year alone, I've left so much money on the table for that.
We'll get to this later, but do you have somebody doing your taxes, or are you doing them yourself?
I was doing them myself. I'm moving to somebody doing them with the family.
Get somebody, get like a small business tax guy who knows all about small businesses, and it's not just H&R Block who's going through the corporate, going through the book. Not even more corporate, but just somebody like, he's like you and I.
Right.
He owns his own business. He's trying to get clients.
Just Google small business taxes or something.
Yeah, I found my guy through a referral.
Okay.
But
Facebook, I'll ask Facebook.
Yeah. But what they'll do is they'll let you know things that are specific to you and not specific to, because they're not regular H&R Block. They're gonna look at the book and they're gonna give you the same role that they give a Fortune 500 company. Doesn't apply to both, because if you're not making as much money as this Fortune 500 company, things change a little bit. It's not just across the board. But either way, we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
As far as the going back to the budget, the video itself.
Right.
If you're not in the position in charging $3,000 for this video, start getting there.
Mm-hmm.
So right now you're at $1,000 of expenses minimum.
Yeah.
Don't charge less than the $1,500. Don't leave your house for less than $1,500.
Right.
And then start raising that. Once you get new inquiries. Like, how are you getting inquiries? All word of mouth?
Yeah, it's pretty much all word of mouth. That's actually a good way. That was an Aspen's. Your website is fantastic. I need to work on mine a lot.
Yeah.
And do you get a lot of business through the website, or?
It's 100% through my website.
Wow. Okay.
I'm 30, 90, 90, whatever. It's my website 2.5 years ago is when, almost 3 years ago actually, I redid my website, and it was like a single page scroller. Everything was on the front page. It went all the way down to the bottom. It took a minute to load. It looked great once it loaded, but I started realizing that there were things that I just wasn't doing right. And we hired this marketing company that I lost my ass on. Like, we paid them $1,500 a month. And I was like, the only other thing I spend that much money on is my mortgage, and I'm not comfortable with this at all. They gave us zero business. The one piece of advice that they did give us is with your website, I needed to divide out that front page into as many subpages as possible. I needed a page for my team, my about us, corporate video, weddings, 360 video, aerial video, 4K video, all of your offerings. Then make a blog every week, every 2 weeks. Make a blog post about what's going to make your corporate video the best. And in each of these pages, I write the words Washington D.C. video production, video production, Washington D.C. video production, Virginia video production, Maryland video production companies, Washington D.C. Those are all my keywords. Those are my main keywords because that's what's being searched in Washington D.C. the most when people are looking for a production company.
That's actually a huge thing that I want to skip over is it's not about, because I did this when I first started. I was like, oh, when I search Snowman films, I come up on the first page of Google.
Of course you do. You're the only one. Exactly. The only Snowman film.
What you want to get to is the first page of Google when you search Washington, D.C. video production, Denver video production. That's a lot harder.
We're not Nike yet. People aren't searching us by brand. They're searching us by genre, by service. So
what's the best video production company? You're not going to enter in Snowman films. You're going to enter in video production Denver, and
I didn't choose. Yeah, if we already had the answer, if we're already searching for some Snowman films, we don't need Google.
Exactly.
Google has been the biggest player in how my business has grown, and it's not going to be for everybody. Some people, like for wedding photographers, they almost rely solely on the Knot because there's thousands of them in every market.
We use the Knot for our weddings. So.
Yeah, exactly. So the Knot's going to be good for selling weddings, wedding wire. There's outlets, like if you wanted to be a freelance guy, and we also have to get into the difference between treating yourself like a freelancer versus a business.
Yes.
If you want to be a freelance guy, Production Hub is decent. It's like $50 a month, but you get maybe one or two big jobs.
Did it?
I can't see you without my spectacles. That looks nice.
Everybody wears glasses. You search screens all day.
Exactly.
Yes, treating yourself like a freelancer versus a business, that I think is, in terms of like, how do you get to the next level as a hack, I think is the mindset change of that is huge.
It is.
A lot of beauty in it.
Yeah. So if you're treating yourself like a freelancer and you're charging people day rates, about a budget, you want to give them the entire production. You don't want to give them your hours. It's not the hours you put into it. It's what you put into the hours. It's going to be a project rate for the entire thing because our Skipper Films is a new tagline, and I'm super happy about this, is just press play. All you have to do is just press play once you get this video. Like, you hire us, and then you press play. Those are your only two things you have to worry about.
Easy for the customer.
Yes, yeah. Exactly. They don't want to have to figure out how many hours they should hire.
Right.
They're not video producers. I don't know how long this takes. You need to tell them how long it takes. You need to be the professional.
Yep.
There's obviously going to be maybe a couple rounds of revisions on the final video, but you need to start talking to this client as if you're the authority. You don't want to... Booking a job shouldn't feel like you've won a client. They should feel like they've won a production company because they need to be super excited about it.
Yeah. Which is nice. I have that energy on clients already.
Awesome.
But it's, I hear what you're saying, because I've been trying to figure out, as I'm sure everybody has, with I started with hourly, and then I moved to day rate, half day, full day, and now I understand with building in the cost, so like literally, because I've been doing, it's this much for filming, this much for editing.
Yeah.
I should just say it's this much for the project.
Yeah.
Because then I can worry about buying internals.
That's for the video.
Yeah. I can worry about the internals and build the expenses in, which helps actually build the business.
Yeah.
And yeah, because I love what you said I saw the comment thread on Sean's thing when you were like, it started with, and a lot of people are still at, they're buying a video from Billy versus Skipper Film, where the company is giving them a video, which is a lot different.
Right. It's
because there's more people involved. That's why.
And the point of that thread was I was just trying to present a different mindset because we were talking about should Sean have a professional page, or if he should be posting his professional work on his personal page.
Right.
My take on it was if you're trying to promote yourself as the brand versus trying to promote your brand.
Personal brand versus company.
Right. If you want people to be hiring Billy or Noah for the work that they do personally, obviously put it on your personal page.
Right.
If you want to be promoting Snowman films, Skipper films, then you want to have that separate brand and start saying we and not me.
Yes. Yeah. That's something that I've been going back and forth on because it's like I did we for a while and then I was just, you get back in the habit of just, I went and did this today. It's like, no, we, even if it was only you in the room, the company itself is.
I'm not even saying on Facebook. Like Facebook is one thing, you can talk however you want on Facebook.
Right.
I'm just talking about when you're talking to clients.
Oh yeah, always
Always you. Yeah, just because you're more than you. You're Snowman Films, which is a shooter, an editor, maybe a couple shooters,
right.
People helping. It's becomes a production rather than just you as a freelancer. If it's just you, you're a freelancer. You're paying yourself 1099s from all the different companies, and that's it. You're just getting your day rate.
Right.
And people make a living off of that, but they can't grow because the day rate will always be $600.
Yeah, because you can't grow past your day rate.
They can,
and at least whatever market you're in, there's a certain limit you hit.
The way you grow with day rates is you do more days. You can do 365 days at $600. That's awesome. But if you want a vacation, if you want to kind of have a comfortable lifestyle, if you want to go home at the end of the day and be with your family, then you need to raise your prices. And that's kind of like the down and dirty of it. You need to raise your prices, but we have to get to that point. We have to figure out how to raise our prices properly. Some of the things.
How do you close the gap on higher prices still getting yeses?
Right.
Yeah.
The only difference between where I was and where I am is I think it's going to be from a visibility standpoint. So more people are seeing me on Google. And as I start going up the ranks in
work on content, more work on SEO, all just the ability.
Once I got onto the front page of Google, people see me in the top 5 or 6 video production companies.
More calls from it.
And you get a ton more calls, but not only do you get, well, you probably got the same amount of calls when I was on the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth page.
Sure.
Well, not the sixth, but like the second page, I was getting a lot of calls, but second page is where only 8% of people search.
Right.
92% of the people find their pick on the front page. That 8%, although that's still a ton of people, they're looking for the $500 work, the $700 work, $1,000 work, and they'll pay you your day rate. Mm-hmm. The people on the first page can be anywhere from still looking, still just hopeful people looking for a $500 video production company, all the way up to someone looking for a $60,000 commercial.
Sure.
Because there's people like that in every market.
Yeah.
Because, you can scale up a production almost unlimited because you can add more people, you can add more lights, you can add more everything to make it look nicer.
A great little tip that I occasionally still watch Chase Jarvis, and he said that there's only so much you can scale a day rate, but when you get to very high level productions, you can add a creative fee. So like you hired us onto this because you want my creative input. Here's my creative fee for that, $10,000.
Exactly.
And when you get to this higher level, I've actually put together budgets. I haven't done none of the massive projects came through, but I was to the point of putting in bids on them to where it was, a $10,000 to $50,000 budget on a single project. So they get to that level.
Right. And it's not necessarily you're adding that in as a line item. But the more line items you have that you deliver to a client, the more people are going to question it. The more people are going to look at this. Sure. Can we only get this? They're going to look at it like a menu and say, I only want this, this, and this.
Yeah.
I'm like, without that, and that, you don't have a video. We need this. So you need to start convincing them, and then they're doubtful.
Right.
That's why I only do the one project price. I only give them one price that has all of this stuff. That way, if they start picking it apart, you can...
That's interesting, actually. So if you get, for a client, like prospective client, if they see the one price and they start asking you about the specific parts of it, how do you, what do you do with that?
I kind of explain it like it's one big machine and all these cogs are moving each other. Because like I said, if they're asking about if it's a day rate thing, like if they say, okay, well, it's this here, you're built in 2 days, can we just do 1 day? Maybe I would say, yes, we can scale that back, but we would have to sacrifice a little bit. It would sacrifice the quality because we'll have to rush a little bit more on the first day. And if they're okay with that, they're okay with that. We're doing less work, so we should get paid less money. That's totally fine with me. I just don't like nitpicking about when they come to you and be like, I see that you're using the Sony a6300 cameras, or the Sony a7S cameras. We use the a6300 cameras because those seem to be less smutty on your thing. And I'd be like, no, that's it. It's kind of that's another huge thing is the ability to say no. Even within, when they are already a yes and then they're trying to break it down. That comes back to being the expert. And you're like, listen, you want this? This is how we get it. Right. And it's either a yes or no from there. But yeah, I mean, it's all moldable, and you can always take, as long as you have them on the line, just have a nice, very professional discussion. Oh yeah, they're talking to you as if you're the professional, which you are. So if you need to explain it, one of the things that I do with clients before they even talk about pricing or booking us, I start rattling off ideas that they can use, like creative ideas. Yep. Here's how your video should look. And that's something that a lot of my competitors don't do because they think they're giving away all this information to take to a cheaper production.
Like, no, like they're not. No, they're not going to do that.
I mean, people in the old business state of mind see that as a threat because I can't give away these industry secrets, and not until you pay me. But the way I see it is, if I give away all of this knowledge, all of this information, tell them exactly what I plan to do with their video and how I'm going to make it great. I'm the only one who's done that in their list of video production companies that they're fighting with. And they're going to look at me as the professional. They're going to be like, well, I like this guy because he has these ideas, not because now we have this awesome list of ideas that we can use and get cheaper money for, but we like the fact that he's come up with these ideas on the spot. Like I feel like that's one of my strong suits, is I can talk to clients and start coming up with cool ideas and think creatively with them on the line, and then have them go, whoa, I love that idea. And then once I hear them say, whoa, I love that idea, I know I've got that. Mm-hmm. All we have to do is figure out what the price is.
Yeah, exactly. You go from there, kind of. So it's actually, it was something that I watched a long time ago called, it's from Ramit Sethi. It's actually called the briefcase technique. Yeah. And I literally will bring, for new clients, I will bring a backpack or bag or something. Previously to the meeting, I've already done my homework. So I've looked at their website. I've looked at, okay, all good, this isn't good, you can fix this. And so you look at their problems, and then you can look, how can I fix their problems? Literally make a project outline of, like, here's our plan, here's the project I want to do with a couple visuals from their logo, make them feel included. And then I come up to them with, tell me about yourself, tell me about your company. I already know all this shit because I've done my research. Sure. They tell me, I say, okay, cool. I agree with that, and I had a couple ideas. And you just open up your briefcase, whatever the bag is, and you pop down these two things, and you start going through your ideas with them that are very like, we're going to do brave video, we're going to do all this different stuff. And that's where they're just like, oh my God, like you have this whole, I would say, like, from here to a year from now, like, right? This consistent content plan, and it just blows them away.
Yeah, once you impress them
exactly
with how much you know, and almost confuse them to a point of, I need this guy because I'm so in my head in what we need, that we need somebody on board with us throughout this entire year to be talking to them, how we can use this video. The way I talk to my clients, the way I present my work, our work, is I don't say that they're going to be spending this money on a video. I say they're going to be investing in it. I don't say that.
Yes.
I don't say that my goal is ever to just do the video and be done with it. Always talk about it as a return on investment. You want to give them this video so that video can make them tenfold what they spent.
Exactly.
If they spend $5,000 on a video, I want them to make $50,000 worth of comparables. Yep. Whether that's new clients and new whatever they're doing. If they're selling products, they sell more products now.
Yeah. The video is value to them, and have it be. And again, I would say you're not spending this money, you're investing it, because content being king, video content, especially with context,
They're investing in them.
they're in bed. It's going to come back to them 100%.
Totally.
Using that word is huge.
Yeah. And the reason I started, and I got, 4 years ago, is when I got the FS700. Great camera. It's my favorite. It's what we're shooting on right now. It shoots 4K if you have, the attachment.
And you did it.
But, I had never hooked it up and actually shot 4K with the FS700. And since then, I've upgraded all my stuff to 4K. I shoot mostly on, Sony A7S, A6300, then FS5, and that kind of stuff. And that's been a huge investment. But the first thing I did once I got the FS700 is said, we have the ability to shoot 4K.
Yeah.
And that was 4 years ago.
Interesting. So you said the ability to shoot 4K, but you still haven't shot 4K on it.
Ha!
But because I say no, I've said no to clients on 4K.
Why?
I don't, just because I don't have. Okay, there you go.
Upset.
Yeah. Oh,
So what is it going to cost you to shoot 4K? You got to buy the $400 license.
right. So make they increase it by $400. Exactly.
And then you got to rent like an Odyssey 7Q.
Yeah.
And that's probably
If they want 4K, they can pay for you to upgrade your camera.
and that's it's $150 for a rental for an Odyssey 7Q. Then you have 4K. So
That's such a damn good point. I totally have the ability to do 4K
absolutely.
within a week or so.
Yeah, that absolutely. You get your clients to buy gear.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. 100%. And they want as they would.
If they want something, if they're coming to you with something specific, they understand that they're going to pay for it.
Right.
If they just want a video, just do whatever you can to make it efficient and cheap, then you know that you can't go out buying gear. But they say, I have an idea for a video and I need it to be in 4K and I need it to be shot on a Sony FS5. I'm like,
Okay. All right. Cool. Here's what's in the cost.
you got to pay for this.
Yeah. That's actually so way before when I first got my T3i, which is what I actually ran the business for a couple years on that.
Which did T2.
Hell yeah, that's how I started. So you start anywhere, but I remember doing way back in the day the parkour from scratch tutorial.
Yeah.
That was originally a paid thing from a client that turned into our own project over time. But what I set it up as is I had like a little point and shoot thing, but I was like, hey, and this is way before even Snowman Films was a thing, I think. Anyway, I told him, hey, you could either pay me money or instead of paying me, you can get me this camera. Because it was about comparable.
Yeah.
And that was like, I'm just saying for people starting out, that's an option. Like, hey, if you want this project, get me this camera and I'll shoot that. I'll have that to shoot on it for you. That's when you just begin.
Yeah. And let me get into that. Yeah. But let's go back. So when I started saying we have the ability to shoot in 4K, I made a separate page for 4K and I put 4K all on my website and it's 4K everywhere saying we have the ability to shoot 4K because I knew that this is where it was going.
Right.
3D kind of fizzled out a little bit. That we thought that was going to be the next thing, but 4K, increasing resolutions, that's the easiest way to scale a technology in media. So what I did is I put it on my website thinking that, hey, it might be something, but it costs me nothing to add that into my website. So I did.
Yeah.
3-4 years later, once we started, realizing our SEO and figuring out where we are on search engines, when you search video production Washington, D.C., I was on like page 6 or whatever. But if you search 4K video Washington, D.C., I was number 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Oh my God.
Because I had no idea this was going to happen, but I've had it listed and it's just been sitting on my page for 4 years because when I first got that, I just said I had the ability to shoot 4K.
That's right. So I'm replaced with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
It's all about the long game.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great.
So what I want to transition into from that is these small moves that you can make to eventually build into something much, much bigger. It's like it's just this domino effect. You've seen someone takes a domino that big and it hits the next one that's twice as big.
Yeah, it's the next one that's twice.
And all of a sudden, it's pushing down something 20 feet tall. That's kind of what you can do in video production and really in any business to grow. But when I first started, I started with I was working at the Marriott in Chantilly, Virginia. I was doing audiovisual work, setting up audio systems for conferences and projectors. I had an interest in video already. I was shooting parkour videos, and I wanted to somehow merge that a little bit.
Right.
I was shooting on just like a Panasonic Handycam, and I wanted to. This is right, right after the DSLR revolution, where all of a sudden you can shoot great video with DSLR cameras.
Yeah.
One of the clients, and I've been making just fun videos all the time, but one of the clients that came into the Marriott, they said we want a cool video to start our conference with. So they targeted me and they said, hey, can we make this cool like parkour video to start the conference? That and it's actually probably still one of my favorite videos that I made, and it was just a parkour video of somebody like arriving at their office, realizing the conference was all the way over here in Chantilly, and nobody.
Because I remember that one.
Yeah, somebody walked into an empty office, is like, and he looks at his phone, he gets an alert, says, Chantilly conference today. I'm like, oh, crap. So he starts doing parkour, jumps into a car, and drives in, jumps out, starts flipping, then he arrives at the door of the conference, he opens it, and then that's where the person enters the actual conference, like, oh, I'm going to take my seat now.
Yeah, the ride thing.
That was exactly. So that was the start of their conference, and it was a huge hit.
That's awesome.
So that company, which is a huge, huge company, I just so happened to have that in with them because they were a client of the audiovisual department at Marriott. They saw that, and they paid me directly for that because that wasn't an offering of the audiovisual company.
Right.
So what that did is like, well, I don't have anything to edit this on. So they paid me $1,500 for that video, which was huge.
Oh yeah, of course.
That paid for my first Mac laptop, so I can edit it.
Investment right there. Yeah.
Yep. From there, they hired us to shoot another job for the same company. And I brought the whole tribe out to San Diego, and we shot a video on the deck of the USS Midway. And it was so cool, and they paid for a camera. So 100% of the money is going directly to my gear investment at the beginning. And I know this is a long story.
Oh, it's great. I love the beginnings is huge.
From there, the meeting planner who put on these conferences, that I now had a great relationship with because that's who I was dealing with for their audiovisual and for these videos. I'm getting married. I can shoot your wedding video. I've already proved to you that I can shoot a video. So she said, can you do $500? Yeah, sure, why not? It was a 16-hour day. It took me forever, and I was just so upside down in that, but I still made $500, whatever.
Yeah.
And so from there, I took that video, put it on a website, and start promoting it. Hey, we do weddings now, and I booked my next wedding from that. One of the bridesmaids from that wedding books me for this, and then all of a sudden,
that's how it works.
I'm building.
That's how it works.
And so that was kind of the uncontrolled version of that story. The controlled version of how you can grow is I'm a part of a whole bunch of different video production boards on Facebook. Some of these guys are old school. They've been in the production business for 30 years. They saw back in the 90s and the 80s where people would pay 30 grand for a commercial and it sucks. And now they've seen this recession hit in 2009, and then all of a sudden they're now back to just charging day rates, and they don't see how it's growing from here. They see something like 360 video come along, and they're like, it's just a fad. It's going to fizzle out just like 3D video.
360 and drone.
Yeah, and Dredos, it's huge. And they're just like, this is nothing. Like, it's just going to fizzle out. I'm not going to spend money on something stupid like this. I see that as an opportunity. So what I did is I had a friend who bought like a Ryko Theta, like a little 360 camera up, shot crap video. And I went to Marriott, who was one of my first clients, because, hey, worked in a Marriott, see how everything pieces together. And I told my contact at Marriott, hey, can we shoot, it's free. Can we shoot a 360 video of your lobby?
Yeah. So going back to an old client, when you have something new to offer and literally just saying, hey, I want to play around with this. I can give you free content if I can get use of this.
Here's the succession. Find the camera to borrow for free. Go to the client who can use this for free. Shoot the video, edit it yourself. Take that, put it on your website in a new site that's skipfilms.com/360 videos, saying, hey, we now offer 360 video. Here's an example.
Right.
I put that on the website, and since it was so new at the time, and all the video production companies are poo-pooing it, like, this isn't going to be anything. This is stupid. This is a fad. Don't waste your money. I went ahead and put it on my website. I went all in, and in 2 weeks, I got a call from the University of Maryland saying, we want to shoot 360 video of our flash mob that's happening at their basketball.
Gradual for 360 video.
Yeah, all the way around. Yep. You can see what's going on all the way around the stadium.
Yep.
So that job paid enough to buy my next rig, to buy a rig. I had like 2 GoPros, so I bought another 2 GoPros, and then one of my friends lent me another 2 GoPros, and I bought one of those 6 GoPro rigs. And I, got the software that stitches it all together, 360 video, and that paid for it took 2 weeks for me putting it on my website for it to reach #1 on Google, because everybody else is not started buying in.
Yeah.
And just the fact that I was first kept me up there. Cost me nothing. I didn't pay any money to get up there.
Right.
All of a sudden, I'm getting a call from the University of Maryland. And from there, I've gotten like 2 of my biggest jobs, 100% 360 video.
There you go.
And we just booked one with Stanford Children's Hospital in Stanford in San Francisco. And like my biggest job to date is this job, and it's all 360 video. And what that's paying for is a new 8K 6-camera rig. There you go. With a giant production RC car that's meant to carry gimbals. Cool. So you can drive it down.
God, that's okay. Cool. So like taking 360 video to like the next level, and because that's what you do. 100%.
Yeah, and that's not even my core competency.
Right? No, 100%. Yeah,
it's just like an offshoot.
But it's being current. It's understanding trends and being current with like what
I didn't even understand it. That's just
even rumors. Just like, oh, this is a new thing I've heard of. I should try it out.
360 video. I knew it was cool. I mean, I didn't know how long it was going to last. I don't see people going like this with their phone anymore. They scroll through it.
But I think it's one of the new cell phones has a 360 pano option now.
Yeah, most iPhones, if you do a panoramic, it
does load at least 180.
It'll be like 270 or something.
Yeah, but still, like it's definitely so. What I'm getting from that, which is cool, is basically through the website and stuff that you can do yourself, low cost, like just do the instead of going out and trying to find the clients, is investing in yourself and telling your story and doing that in the proper SEO way to bring the clients to you.
I learned early on that Google was my main source of where I need to be getting my business. Like I said, every different market every different offering has their own way of where people find you. If you are looking for a wedding photographer, you're going to the Knot. If you're looking for a wedding videographer, you're going to the Knot. If you're looking for a freelance video guy, you're probably going to Production Hub. And there's probably 2 or 3 others.
Yeah, Production Hub, you got, there's a couple. Let's see. I do want to list them off just for people listening.
Yeah.
Keep talking.
Yeah. So you have all of these different outlets designed specifically to find the right person. If you want to find the best Chinese food restaurant, you're going to Yelp. My thing was Google, and it's unfortunately the hardest thing to figure out because there is no guide to Google. There is no way to figure out Google. But I knew that, all it took was me putting myself in my client's shoes. If I was a big company and I wanted to find the best production company in the area to make our commercial, where am I going? Am I gonna find this obscure website that like Thumbtack? Am I gonna go on Thumbtack and try to find somebody for $50? Probably not.
Yeah.
If I really want something tangible, I'm gonna go to Google and type in just like literally everything else in my life. I'm gonna go to Google. I'm gonna type in what I want.
Right. That's how Google,
and I'm gonna find it on the first page. So I knew early on my goal was first page Google. I just need
even first. If you can get like first 5 results on Google, then you're in business.
First 5 results is huge.
Yes.
just across the
What set are you right now on the first 5 or 6? I'm going back for mention 5. So, I mean, you're middle of the page tops.
Me being so a year ago, I was a one-man band.
Okay, that's wow. So it's been really recent.
Yeah.
Real fast before we move on too much. I have for you guys. I can even list them like right next to me if you want. For freelance work, people looking for just freelance, you got Production Hub. This is all .com. Production Hub, Find Film Work, Production Beast, Media Match, and Staff Meetup. Some of those are free, some of those are paid. It's hard to break into it because you have people that have been doing it for 10 years that are like 5-star rated, and you have to work your way up like anything else. But that will give you a place to start to see actual jobs coming down the pipe that you could get, rather than just, where do I get jobs? That's your list.
And that's weird. So I was just looking at kind of my pipeline from the last 2.5 years. This year, massive leap from the year before, but not as massive as it was 2 years ago. So I had a dip last year as I was attempting to grow, and then all of a sudden it picked up. What happened was 2 years ago, I was taking every job under the sun for $1,000, and I was doing 2 or 3 a week, just like bam, 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 bam.
I'll tell you right now.
And I was like, wow, I actually made a lot more than I thought I did, but it was all going.
Where's it going?
It was all going to my personal account. And I was spending heavy, I just
paying bills and
buying theater and
yeah.
So and then last year is when I made the change. I was like, really out of focus. I want this type of client. I want to stop doing this type of work and start doing more of this type of work.
Yeah.
And I raised my standards. More so, I want to say I raised my standards and not my price, but because I raised my standards, I wanted to get a specific type of client doing promotional videos. I didn't want to shoot, court testimonial reenactment videos. I just need you to come out for half an hour to shoot this truck driving by a 7-Eleven. I don't want to do that.
No, it's not fun. It's finding where and that's a huge thing, is really figuring, and that's actually something I did about a year ago, which helped me a lot, and I need to redo it a little bit too, because a little bit of a story. About a year and a half ago, I was doing a lot of, second shooter weddings. I was doing, again, taking everything. Yeah. And then I kind of refocused on, personally, I love shooting movement. I love shooting parkour, dancing, all that stuff. So I biz debbed a little bit. I reached out to Apex Denver. I reached out to a couple other places. I'm actually now, Apex Denver is one of my consistent clients, working with Wolfpack Ninjas. They're awesome, my Ninja Warrior stuff. So refocusing that, all the current projects I have going, I'm psyched about, and they're, some of them are more well-paying than others, but it's all puzzle pieces to a larger thing. What I'm realizing as we're talking now too, and that's actually something, how much parkour stuff, do you do any parkour anymore?
No.
Because something I'm realizing, like literally right now, is that there's just no money right now in
it's because it's coming out of people's pockets,
right?
Just like
Big companies aren't
just like you need to stop doing business out of your personal account. You need to find people doing business out of the business, because
companies buy, so it made it be rather than B2C, business to business, gigs, instead of me as a business having a consumer, or having a singular person as my client.
How much money do you personally have to spend on a video?
Exactly. They're always
I don't have a ton of money to spend on a video. I make my own videos. But you have to find the bigger budgets are going to be companies that have a marketing department, have a marketing budget that, last year their marketing budget was printing banners that went all over the city.
They did
this year and
shit.
they
did a little bit, but video content's going to be so much more freaking.
It's apples and oranges.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ever compare myself to a photographer or print media or anything like that. For sure, we're better. I'm going to say we're different.
Yeah.
And
depends on the market.
And that's a good mindset to always have, is you're not better, you're different.
Right.
You need to look at, if you're in the media business, if you're in any sort of creative business, you need to start treating yourself almost like an artist. And going back to how we budget things, and how Picasso doesn't charge based on hours he's spent these paintings are going for millions of dollars because it's art. It's creative. You don't have to charge.
It's an intangible.
Right. Yeah. There's the creative fee.
Yeah.
There is the thing that it allows you to charge way more because of the experience that you have, the look that you have. People need to start coming to you. And I know this isn't something you can do, but the more and more you get well known, the more you appear on Google, people need to start coming to you because they like your look,
your style. Yeah.
The budget has to come second. If they're talking to you because they like your style, that is 100% where you need
so much more. Because then you're going to be able to make the stuff that's in your style that you enjoy making for client work, which is a big thing that I've like. And so that's, I mean, a thing that I'm pushing right now on Facebook. I'm from this conversation, we'll be pushing it many other places. But I love, and I know inspiration's kind of hard because hard work is much more useful. But the inspirational, like positivity and hard and those kind of videos, I love making those.
Yeah.
And if I could get paid to make more of those, awesome, right? Like great. And then finding what you like to do and making that stuff and then getting yourself out enough, because if you make a bunch of one type of video and then people know you for that work, eventually somebody may hire you to make that type of video.
Don't refine it too much though. If I were to say I only make 2-minute videos for the hotel industry, then I'll have 5 clients.
Right.
If I say I make promotional videos, I'll have unlimited clients because everybody's looking for some form of promotional video. So make it broad enough. And again, you're going to have to do several different kinds of videos for probably low money just to get a portfolio that has, and early on, I would get people saying, do you guys do any of this kind of work? And I'd have to say, sorry, but we can.
Right.
Because I know we can. It's easy enough. I just haven't. I'm saying I want this very specific type.
So once you're asked for it, maybe you go make it, and then you can come back and then say, hey, here's, so open up that whole more.
Right. One of the biggest thing, and I'm still struggling with this a little bit, is animation, motion graphics, and
putting on a guy.
Right. People would come to me and say, do you guys do motion graphics, animation, like fully animated videos? And I would have to say, no, but we can. And I would just, outsource it and whatever. But I would lose that contract to somebody who does, who has it in their portfolio. And every time I would lose a big contract like that, I would make a change. I would say, okay, well, I need to get on staff a guy to make videos.
Right.
I will add that in for free to my next video, just to have an example on my website that the next time this comes in, I can point and say, yeah, it's like this one.
Yeah.
I get a lot of, hey, have you ever worked with kids before? And then I say, oh, yeah, we have this Tom Dolan swim school video where he teaches kids. Here you can see that. I know it's not exactly because you're a school, but we can at least see some element.
Examples of stuff is the main thing. Like, hey, can you light for an interview? Here's an interview that we lit. And they're like, cool, that looks great. We're good for that aspect.
Yeah. So going back, you need to have clients coming to you because of the work you do and not the price you're at.
Yes.
If the first question they ask is what's the price on this, then maybe start refining a little bit of how you present yourself online. Say, we are artists and not we are budget production company. I know you're not saying that specifically, but if you're early on, I was telling everybody that, hey, we do the same kind of work as the other guys, but for a lot cheaper.
Yeah,
but you're saying they're cheaper, then
so they kind of play you.
Then it might set you back. It might land you that one job,
right?
But it also might set a precedence because I'm still getting work from some of my first clients, and they're like twisting my arm for low budget stuff, and I'm like, I can't, I can't raise my prices on you anymore.
Yeah,
like I know I can't because
we started so well. Yeah, I know. That's something that I really realized too. When you're like, a big thing for me that I realized was the people that hire you for, say, $200 a day or less, and when you're just starting out, when they get a bigger budget, they're not gonna bring you on for a bigger. Like if they get a $10,000 budget, they're not gonna go, oh, let's hire the $200 guy. No, they're gonna go like, what can I get for this? It's just not gonna happen.
Right. So there's this fine line you gotta walk with that. So if you, and I've lost jobs because I was too cheap before.
Mm-hmm.
Actually happened way too often. because they look at your price and not like, hey, I can save a bunch of money. They look at your price like, look, these guys do way less quality work. I'm going to go, so we have a bigger budget. Let's go with a bigger budget company. Because they're not looking to save money. If you have the right client, they're not looking to save money. They're looking for good quality work. Step one is always to have quality work on the table to be able to send them and show them why you're worth. Not if you're on the phone explaining why your cost is where it is,
You already lost.
you've already missed.
Yeah.
Because
Your work needs to speak for itself, and it needs to blow people away.
They need to send them to your website. They're just like, they need to come back as,
Holy shit, you guys are good. Okay.
yeah, totally. And that's when you know that you've done something right. You have, even if there's a couple things that are wrong on your website that are still people are still seeing this and assuming something else is what you guys are all about. You still have that. You still have a good piece of content that you can send to a client in an email saying, watch this video. This is one of the biggest things I get asked for is those promotional videos that's interview based. Somebody talking about their company. It's a sit down interview, and then we mix it with B-roll of their company and
I call it a brand video.
yeah, exactly.
Your classic like run of the mill brand video, not anything like super stand out.
Yeah.
We want just sit down interviews, explain to the company, B-roll of what the company is. That's what the company.
So I always have 2 or 3 examples of that, and once they start asking for specifics, like you ever done a brand video with I'll go back to kids again because I get that request a lot. I'll say, well, I know it's not exactly what you're asking for, but here's this brand video, and then here's another video with kids. So in the brand video, take a look at, keep an eye out for the how we mix the B-roll with the interview portion, and then on the other video, take a look at how we worked with the kids and how much they interacted with the camera. And then here's this other video, just because we like how it all turned out and it shows our style.
So specific time codes, specific aspects to look for within each video that they can see. Oh, this relates to my project in that way. Okay, I understand.
Always guide them to just throw a video out there and say, this is our style. Say it very, very specifically, say what to look for, because they're not in the video production world. They don't know what to look for.
Yeah.
You have to tell them what to look for. So the big lesson on that is just to have always in your back pocket several different types of videos that people can see, that people can get an idea of how you create your content, how it looks in the end, and how it sounds. And from there, it's just how you talk to them.
Yeah, so that's great. So a little bit more just to on the specific scaling portion is basically, you said 75%. I want to go a little deeper into any kind of, because for me, like my basic thought is if I bring somebody on, I have their rate plus 30% that go back in town. But you're going go higher margins, like way higher margins than that.
I go, okay, so here's how you talk to a client. Here's how, well, me personally, here's how I've built my business on scaling up by trying to extract as much information from a discovery call when you first start talking to a client. First question I always ask, well, not first question, but I always like to talk to them, get to know them a little bit, and then I always like to ask what their budget is. If you can get that information right off the bat, awesome. A lot of the times they're going to say, we're not really sure, we're shopping for price, we're trying to figure out how much this costs.
You can get a number, you know where they're starting.
We've never done this before.
Right.
If they say their budget's $5,000, don't make your invoice $5,000, make it $4,250. Make it say, and don't say, oh, just so happens my price is right around that. Say, I think we can work with that. Let me run some numbers. Let me figure it out. But the way you kind of navigate around that, if they don't give you a price right off the bat, throw a range out there. Because video production, as you know, is very scalable.
Mm-hmm.
So is a lot of different services, photography, graphic design. It all depends on 30 different factors on how much you're going to charge for this. Do you need more people? You can always scale up. There's no ceiling on how much money somebody can spend on it.
Right.
There is, however, a floor.
Yeah.
You can't do it for less than this because you have to pay people.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to have some sort of profit. So what I like to say is, and I've kind of figured out, people who are coming to me are generally in this price range. And I try not to limit it, but if it's starting to sound like they have a slightly high budget, I put it out there and I say, generally speaking, and don't take this as anything more than just, kind of this very broad range based on what my clients usually spend, is most people that are coming to me for this type of product is going to be anywhere from $4,000 to $10,000 for a video. And that can count on it. And I'm not saying we haven't done it for less, and I'm not saying we haven't done it for more, but just to kind of give you an idea of where this usually lands, it usually lands in there, and that's based on, efficiency, 1 day shoot, this.
And I mean, that's just, that's good, because that's just coming from your knowledge of your past clients to give them an idea of, because they're coming into this like, hey, we just want a video. We have no idea about this world. Here's where I am. Basically,
I'm giving them a $6,000 gap.
huge.
That's giving them almost no information.
Yeah, exactly. But still some information where they can base, what else is what I find.
After I say that, they'll say, oh, okay, well, my budget's around $6,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I thought you didn't say what you didn't know what your budget was. They're trying to haul out because they're trying to get the best money. Right. And I'm trying to haul out because I'm trying to get the most money.
That's the game. That is the game.
So that's where I found I've gotten the most information on that discovery call.
And giving them as much of a range as you can.
And I've coached a few people on how to start pricing and how to talk to clients about your price. And a lot of people are just emailing. And the first email is, how much is it for this video? And then they send them an estimate with no discussion.
Idea of anywhere where their budget is, that they could be leaving $5,000 on the table.
And a lot of times people are coming back and saying too much, or they don't respond, or there's no reaction, because you don't get to gauge your reaction based on their reaction because you're not on the phone with them. Be on the phone with them. Talk to them about their price. They don't have an idea about the price. Give them an idea of a range. They see, if they hear that range and it clicks and say, okay, well, I think our budget's going to be around here and it fits within that range. So what can we get for this? That's when you start developing the price and chipping away at it. And if they start talking like, I think we're going to be around the $4,000. I think there's a little bit of flexibility. That's how you can maybe throw a little bit more reduction there, get a higher profit. But don't just get greedy. Don't just say, if they give you a range, if they say their budget's $5,000 to $7,000, don't say $7,000.
Right.
Also, don't say $5,000.
Maybe go somewhere in the middle, slightly above.
Give them an idea that, okay, I think, and what I like to do is, if their bottom end of the range is on, a very decent budget, I say, you know what, we can actually be toward the bottom of your range, and then they're happy about that.
Yeah.
And if they start giving you specifics, be like, I think we can fit that in. I need to run a couple numbers, get you an official estimate and everything. One of the biggest things that you can do for yourself in that situation is make 2 estimates, the better and the best.
Yeah.
Or 3. 3 is always good for them to pick from, but I haven't really been able to find some.
There's a lot of gaps. So you give like, hey, this gets you, 1 camera operator. This gives you more. We can shoot more. If you want to shoot 2 days with 1 camera operator, we can do that. Or if you want to shoot 1 day with 2 camera operators, we can do that. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
Less specific than that.
Instead of switching it like that and saying 2 days with 1 or 1 day with 2, I just say we can have 1 day of 2 camera operators, or 2 days of 2, only scale it up, not kind of,
mixing,
because that almost sounds like it'll be the same price.
Right.
Always say, we can give you kind of the budget option, and we can also give you the higher quality option. And I always preface everything with, now the budget option is not going to give you a cheap video. It's going to be great quality. It's going to do what you need it to do, but it might not have some of the bells and whistles, and it might not be as great as it could be, but our business is not putting out crap video.
100%.
Our business is
going to be good no matter what.
It's going to give you your return on investment, maybe not as much. So that whole conversation is just one of those things that you have to figure out on your own, and what your clients respond to. If you want to start having the conversation with some of new clients that really, if you have no worry about booking them or not, just testing the market and seeing what people respond to. Just start fine tuning that spiel that you give. So yeah, those are
good. And then the other one is, because I know you've posted quite a bit about contracts and stuff. What in terms, I need to get better about contracts. I've started a little bit, but like, what is your real like requirement, even for, because it sounds like you send out contracts for bids as well.
Yeah, a couple people come to me asking for proposals. So I have 4 or 5 different levels of what I can give to the client to present a price. If people are I just need price. I just need a price. Just tell me what the price is. I give them, I do the 2-option proposal or 2-option estimate. So I have estimates, proposals, and contracts, I guess. Proposal and contract is pretty much the same thing. But the estimate is just going to be, it's going to look like an invoice. It's just going to list the exact thing. If they want a full proposal, which some of, the bigger clients are going to want, it's going to be this huge document. It's going to be like 10 pages long.
Oh, wow.
I have templates, and what I use is a software called Proposify. It's proposify.biz.
Sweet.
And it costs money, sure, but you make money. People can pay directly on the proposal if you need them to, but the beauty of that is it came with a bunch of templates specifically for people in the photography, videography,
awesome,
that kind of business. So they have mobile wording that normally comes in a video production contract. And first page is a cover page. Big image, Skipper Films cover image. Skipper Films, here's my client, here's the date, there's the proposal due date. Next page, welcome letter. And again, all template. I don't have to write this welcome letter each time. And it's more like, if you haven't been living under a rock, you know that videos are the source. This is how you do your marketing these days. 6 billion people watch every day on YouTube and blah, blah, blah.
Give them some numbers, give them some facts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a very personal conversation. It's not videos account for this much, man. It's like
speaking in English.
I throw in curse words because if I have a client who doesn't like hearing curse words, I kind of know how to work. I want that personal relationship with the client. If you treat from day one, if you treat your client like a client, they're going to treat you like a vendor. If you treat them like a friend, they're going to have a real hard time saying no.
Right.
If some of these clients that I have a good relationship with that are booking us for multiple things, like this conference that we're shooting today, I'm Facebook friends with the first person in this company who booked us. Like, I just, friend them on Facebook. I've talked to them. I comment on their stuff. Now it's real hard for them to say no.
Like, what's great with that is like a lot of, and that's where a lot of referrals later on can come from, is when you reach out and actually I had a shoot on Saturday a couple days ago, and everybody on the shoot now Facebook friends, now follow. Like, I have a ton of clients that like my stuff now, that that engage, and then it's all just attention and being in front of eyes, so that when they have an opportunity come up, they comment, hit you up. Like, it's all building that brand.
Yeah, and being Facebook friends with them, there's no ulterior motive here. I don't want to start planting seeds of like, when people want video production, they're going to come to me. I want this one specific, believe it or not, I'm legitimately friends with these people.
Oh yeah. I had this when you have a good time. You have a good time on the job, and
because the one biggest and best review that I can get is these people were in sync with our company. They were talking to us. They were having fun with us. If they have a fun experience on a shoot, if they have no complaints about how you acted and how you presented yourself and how you clicked with their crew, made everybody feel comfortable, then that's like 90% of your next sale.
100%. Yep. So be fun to work with this man. So I mean, as well as having good work attitude and being fun to be around and having a good time, which comes down to like loving what you do, right, is a massive part of building.
And again, I coach a couple people who are starting out in the video production, photography, and they are all business. They want to be pit bulls. They want to just bite on and hustle it.
Right.
It's really no more than just being really presentable. And I'm not saying that works for every industry, but I don't know. Video production is just one of those things that if you give them any reason to complain, they will, and they'll put it on a review. But if you become their friend, you can almost do no wrong. If you be such a great presence on set, you improve the mood, you have a great attitude. Everything that it builds up to this is just casual. There is no business other than here's the contract. Read it through. Let me know if you have any problems.
Exactly.
I'm here to help me.
Low stress.
Yeah.
But here's what it is. You must follow these. You're like, hey, here's the contract. We got it. I got from Brian Prince actually that a template for a more kind of casually worded yet still professional, still a written thing, but it's like literally has like, okay, now down to business. Now we get to talk about the numbers. It's like literally just a conversation within the contract, which I love. I don't want to be like you do this, I do this. Work is done. Like,
yeah, exactly.
If you take the stress out of it.
Right. Getting back from where we tangent. Yeah. So first page is cover image.
Yes.
Second page is a welcome letter saying, really excited to be able to present this opportunity for you. Any questions, let us know. We're here to help. We're very casual word. Third page is going to be scope of work. What we're going to be presenting here in this contract. No pricing, just scope of work. This is our deliverables. This is what we're going to put in each one. Third page.
Are you doing a page per? Is this like a whole page? Because I do that same thing, but it's more in multiple on a page. Or are you doing just single
page per? And again, that welcome letter does take up the whole page.
Sure.
It's 3 paragraphs. It's
yeah. Well, I don't want to. No,
and each section is headed. It's a very nicely.
I definitely want to take a look at this.
Very visually appealing too.
Yeah.
Third page is timeline. So week 1 is going to be pre-production, planning, all that stuff. Week 2 is shooting. Week 3 through 5 is going to be edits, revisions, whatever.
Interesting. So you put even you give yourself. I mean, in terms of planning time-wise, you put it into weeks. Is that's a super good point. I'm not to be like, there's no general times. I don't want to rush order on this.
Right. I don't want to lock myself in because if something happens.
That's part of the thing that I'm running into right now, which is I have, say 5 projects right now going that need editing that I will get to, but the 5th one's going to be in 2 months.
Right. Yeah, with that, it's hard to do.
But if you set yourself up for success with just saying, specifically a week 1, week 2, week 3, there's going to be a month-long project before you fund, so they know what to expect.
Right.
And if they need it done faster, you could put a rush fee on.
Sure, exactly. That's great. The next page is going to be the pricing. So I take that scope of work, put prices on the items. There it is, our product. Yes. The next page is going to be a case study. I have a video of one of my favorite ones that I did, favorite video projects that I did. I wrote kind of a write-up. This guy came to us because he wanted to promote his business and maybe increase his enrollment in his swim school, or wanted to sell more coffee at the coffee shop. And since then, they've seen a huge increase. Kind of give the rundown.
Right. You have that on your website as well? Case studies?
No. I should though.
That's a good idea for like 6-7 more recipe and one post.
Oh, totally. And then there's the quote that he left on our Google review, and then I think the next page just starts all the contractual wording, and that's all legal
at the very end.
And so like the last 3 pages,
exactly, yeah,
because there's a ton of wording that you need to worry about in video production, copyrights and that kind of
terms of use even.
Yeah. And I don't say they can only use it for a year. I say perpetually. I don't give a crap. As long as you don't like re-edit it and then pass off as my work, I'm fine with what you do with it. A lot of people are like, you can only use it for a year and then you have to pay me royalties, and then no, I don't.
I'm probably professional. The main thing that I like to do is, and it's part of what's in my contract now, basically says, I like showcasing, we like showcasing our work. We like showing off what we built because we're proud of it. So basically able to, once it goes up, that we can post it too.
Right. Exactly. And so that's it. And it's online, so they can digitally sign.
Nice.
Online. Yeah. That's
a really, really solid service. I know I get
updates on my watch.
Oh, awesome.
Saying, hey, somebody signed a contract and that kind of stuff.
That's nice.
So it's sorry, something in that airplane. All right, where's so the proposal it takes a little longer to do than just putting out a quote, but it also presents a much higher end because absolutely one of my biggest things was I was losing out to people, and I found out that it was because my Word document contract didn't look great.
For professional look through every facet.
You have case studies, you have a nicely worded welcome letter, you had a scope of work explain what we're going to do for you, you had your price.
Instead of a message that's, hey, it'll be $500 for the day.
I mean, I had my contract was essentially 95% legal wording and then 5% scope of work and price.
Right.
And that's all I had.
Yeah.
So just having that proposal that they put into their pile and they read through, that has helped a ton. Absolutely. I bet. So that's the proposal process that we go through, and whether that's me being pitted against 3 or 4 other production companies, or if they just wanted a proposal to present to their team, that's how we do it.
Now, do you, because I know you started with the social media, with a Google company, with a SEO company, basically. Are you still working with it, or is it just all you?
Yes.
And that's the big thing, is just putting in what I think what I'm realizing my next steps are here is, and no, social media is hard, but when you think about it as if you can make the website the central, and they get your, for me getting the Google ranking up, and then don't think of it as like, oh, I got to post on Instagram against it. It's like, no, this is going to push to, an article, which is going to push my SEO, which is going to get me more business. If it's all that mindset, it's a lot easier.
Yeah, it's like I said, they're all little cogs in this giant machine that without one, the machine doesn't work as well. But I'm not saying it breaks. You don't have to do Instagram. You don't have to do Facebook posts. You don't have to do blog, but it all helps.
There's not one unlock.
By having, there's 300. Yeah, by having every limb in a different pool of water, you experience all these different levels of how you can get clients. And the more clients you get, and the more success you have in marketing, just the less you understand. It's insanely confusing, because if I start pushing my website, I'll get an inquiry through Facebook. If I start pushing Facebook, I'll get an inquiry through Instagram. If I start pushing Instagram, you get the weirdest, and some of my biggest clients have come through weird. Somebody comes to me through Instagram because they wanted somebody who shot wedding videos, who has that eye for being able to shoot that cinematic lifestyle, but also on the go. So they found me through Instagram as a wedding videographer, but they want to do a corporate video first. They should have found me through my website, but that was just a channel.
Never comes through where you think of it.
That was the channel that specific company took to get to me.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, and that video project was on par with all my other video projects that come straight through my website. There's not one source that you can put all of your eggs.
No. And a good way to kind of think about it too, in terms of like, I mean, the younger generation doesn't watch news as much now. I don't watch news, but a really good way that Gary Vaynerchuk put it is, if you do Google, Instagram, Facebook, that's the same as doing NBC, CNBC, CNN, all those, like, would you say no to a piece on NBC because you did a piece on CNN? No, that doesn't make any sense. So think about social media as that exact same thing. It should be slightly different content, because it's better to be native, like work well for the native of that, social, but do everything because everything leads back. It's not just, oh, I'm only on this because I don't believe in this. I don't do Snapchat. I should, but it's because I'm doing Instagram stories, which is Snowman Films, the business, leading it. Snapchat, right? More, I should be, but it's.
So the weird thing about that, and that's probably the one thing that I haven't really gotten into, is Snapchat, because I don't see my clients ever going to Snapchat to find.
Well, you're in the B2B business mostly. Which Snapchat, I understand that there are young business people, but in general, Snapchat is younger audience. That makes sense. Like, for me as well. Like, if I wanted to just do low cost parkour videos, I could be on Snapchat and kill it. But if it's all about the understanding the age ranges and the intents of each social media. So Snapchat is very much kid to kid talking, doing stuff, right? Where if you're in a business selling something to kids, that's when it makes sense to be on Snapchat. But Instagram, for me, there's a much bigger range, and older people with, that own businesses that have money that can actually help bring business.
Right. And my standpoint is, yes, everything is getting younger. Everything is always turning towards the younger generation. People are finding things on Snapchat, but it's still, is that going to be a worthy investment for myself?
Right. In terms of time and energy and what you're putting into it. Yeah.
Right. Because yes, younger people are finding you on Snapchat, but are those younger people individuals that want a parkour video?
Right.
If that where you want to be in 5 years?
Right.
Or are actual legitimate companies coming to you through Snapchat because you marketed to the right person? And I mean, I feel like that happens, and it could happen, but I just don't know how to figure that out.
What is
without spending like endless hours on Snapchat?
Right.
I mean, like Snapchat Hero, and then I only have time for so much.
There was so much in the day.
Yeah, and Facebook is taking most of that.
And how much success have you had with Facebook ads? Have you done it actually?
So here's a weird, and I don't know if this is the popular opinion or anything. I haven't really gotten much off of Facebook.
Me neither.
But I see it as a necessary evil, and I see it as something I need to keep doing it, because I don't know if you can't really see these metrics, and you can't think
Where leads come from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody could have seen my thing on Facebook, gone to my website, contacted me through the website, and I would never know. I mean, you can find ways to track the pixels on Google around.
The main
I have to set that up. I should.
It reaches an audience.
It does. But that's huge. What that is doing, what I've found with Facebook ads and my Facebook presence in general, is if I keep it up, I'm just presenting myself continually in every form. I don't want to, if it's not working, I don't want to abandon my Facebook page and just have no content on it, because there's a precedent, and then I need to present myself everywhere as the same person, as the same company. If people find my website, they see my work, and then they also want to see our company personality and our company culture. Right, they go to our Facebook page and they start scrolling through and they see what we do. The other side of that is I have a lot of friends who they know me, and they know me only on Facebook, but they know me, and they know what I do, and they know where I started. And up until a year and a half ago, they thought I was still just small potatoes doing my own. This is just a hobby. I'm eking by. But once I started promoting my Facebook stuff, and every time I land a big contract, I cry to Brad.
Yeah,
and not because I want to get the glory of everybody saying congratulations. No,
it's just feels good.
It does feel good.
What you don't say the actual event of you say like this is so cool, this happened for the business, yay.
Always, and I think it was a year and a half ago. I booked what would have been my biggest contract to date, I posted it on our Facebook page. I said, we just booked, I was up against my biggest competitors, and I got it.
Yeah.
I was able to sit in a room in a conference room with all of my biggest competitors and just people that were pitching it. They asked a whole bunch of questions. I was the only one answering questions about time-lapse video, because I legitimately knew what time-lapse video took and what the intervals should be for a 3-month process. And I put that out on my Facebook page as a success. They ended up taking all my information after like 3 months of like going back and forth after they chose me. What camera are you using? What are you doing? Why are we paying for this? And they started questioning stuff I saw going downhill. And then they just said, we're just going to do it ourselves. I never posted it. I never posted that we lost that contract, because, like positivity, show the positivity. And I don't want to come across as I never fail. I always fail. I fail all the time. But I do want to show the positivity, because it inspires people. It inspires people who are kind of following my footsteps that we can do it.
Mm-hmm.
there's this small guy fighting against these big, and I saw it more of a positive note that I leave that we got this job up and not that we failed at this job, because I don't want people to see it and say, oh, I guess I can't do it.
I think I've done that at least 3 to 4 times.
Yeah.
When you have a really positive start and you're excited about it and like, great meeting, went super well, and then it just goes nowhere.
Yeah.
You don't talk about, oh, lost that, because it's like, it's just, again, positivity wins. It's not about editing yourself. It's just like, lead with positivity, and that positive mindset, not like I'm gonna win over time, and what it takes to actually be successful.
Sure. And it's
I should say too, with the losses and with the negative, I lose stuff constantly. As soon as I get the news, maybe 5 minutes later, out of my mind, gone. On to the next thing. That if you dwell on the losses, that's all you're gonna think about.
right. The dwelling on the losses is one thing. Making a positive change because of the loss is another. Like I said, every time I do something, every time I lose a contract, I figure out why I lost it.
Yeah.
I start making a change to improve that.
Yeah.
If you do that enough times, you're perfect. You have everything that a client
Have answers to everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the Facebook presence is more of a presenting myself so people know what I do and how I am and where my company is in the spectrum of my competitors. So when an opportunity does present itself, I'm kind of in their mind.
Mm-hmm.
If I eat attention, if I'm putting stuff out there constantly, and this friend who saw me early on probably still thinks that I'm I do wedding videos for $500. They're not gonna. If I keep presenting myself as I'm growing. 5 years ago, I booked a job with this small mom and pop shop. 4 years ago, slightly larger mom and pop shop. Now I'm saying, we booked a job. We booked our second year with the Audi Corporation of America.
Yeah.
People see that and say, this guy's big time.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask him for $500 videos anymore. I'm going to. Good point. And then there's the other friend who does work at a larger government contract and be like, and they want to be the hero and bring in a new company and say, hey, I know a guy who's on the rise or has risen and he does great work. I think we should bring him in.
That's a super good point about when you kind of talk about successes and the growth when it's accurate. It's because you can't, again, none of this is lying. It's not, it's really doubling down on the win and on the strengths of the company. I love that when you're growing, people that may think about, oh, should I come to them with I can afford $50 an hour. Like, they see you working with bigger brands, they're not even going to waste your time.
Right. Stopping, and I know it's leaving a ton of money on the table, but same idea with not being a freelancer and working 365 days a year at $600. I want to work 100 days a year and make the same amount of money because I charge way more.
Yeah.
That's always the dream. That's always the goal. It doesn't always work out like that, but you can at least
always move towards that direction.
Always work towards that direction. Less jobs, more money.
Yeah.
You're online. You're presenting yourself exactly how you want to be. Doesn't have to be where you are, but this is where you want to be.
Right. The goals, having clear goals, and talking about, oh yeah, cool. This year was bigger than last year, and as long as that continues to be, you get the most startups done last 5 years. If you can get past that mark, and as long as you're growing at whatever it is, whether it's a team, whatever, that's the perception, and you're succeeding, and that's going to bring more clients in because they see you succeeding.
Right, totally. And there's no way to figure out the algorithm that leads to this. You just have to be prepared.
Get in the trenches.
You can't figure this out. I can't tell you, you need to be presenting yourself like this because at some point in your life, somebody from a big company is going to, that you went to high school with, is going to see you on Facebook. I'm giving you this very obscure example because weird shit like that happens all the time. Some of your biggest clients will happen for absolutely no reason. And it's going back, the more you know about marketing, the less you know about marketing.
Yeah. I had a gig, just on that note, this past Saturday. It was not, I think he knew of my work, but it was basically, I was in strategy meeting years ago. Yeah, pay my meter. Anyway, I was in a strategy meeting years ago with something that didn't really go anywhere, but one of the guys that was sitting in on that meeting liked my vibe and what I was saying. So he lives in San Diego. When he thought about doing a project, I came in his mind because I stood out from that one meeting a couple years ago. Like, okay,
Can't you plan for that?
no, but it worked.
You can't be that. You can't be that positive personality, chippy, knowledgeable guy in a meeting, just in the meeting, and then go home and be a miserable sack of shit. You have to live your life positive. Being an entrepreneur means being in front of clients, hustling, people wanting to work with you because of your personality, your attitude, and your knowledge. All of that has to work. Not just, you can't be a one-facet person. You can't just be someone who knows a lot about cameras and production. You have to be someone who knows a lot about cameras and production, and also they're kind of a cool person to deal with, and they're a cool person to work with, and their experience on set was awesome. The contract looked really cool. There's just 1,000 different things you just have to ingrain into your life and become that person that was sitting at that table that one day. And if you're not that positive personality at all times, become that positive personality at all times, because you're you're facing this company, but you're facing the people in this company. I know it's B2C that I'm talking about, or B2B that I'm talking about, not necessarily B2C, but that B is made up of C's. You know, there are people who are going to be personally affected by what you say in this meeting,
right?
Or over the phone or in the email. And if they see you as a very positive personality, they're going to want to book you. So definitely, that mentality is not just a business mentality. You have to become it.
Yeah.
Probably good time to pause so you can pay meter.
Yes, let's do that.
All right.
We're back. Pay the meter.
So I'm not sure where we left off. So I think it's a good time to kind of regroup and talk about kind of bigger picture.
Yeah.
The end game is grow your business always, and you always want to kind of find ways to be bigger, bigger, and bigger, and bigger. But there's that I don't know. There's a fun mentality that goes along with being a small business and being your own guy. So I like to try to find a good mix between the two, without. I still want to be connected to my business so much that, you know, I'm involved. I don't want to be so big that I'm just sitting at a desk all day.
Coordinating people, coordinating.
You're right. So it's always fun to have that personal relationship with your business, and that's the entrepreneur state of mind. With that said, I don't stop myself from growing, and I always look for ways to do it. The biggest lesson that I've learned is growth that is sustainable is not fast. It is not fast at all. It takes a long time. It is a tortoise, but it's like, I try to find a good analogy for this. The man-made mountain. If you're like putting dirt and all this stuff in a big giant pile of whatever, dirt and rock, whatever, that's going to start sliding away over time because the rain's going to hit it. But the thing that's going to stick around is where over time, the two tectonic plates are building this giant mountain, and it grows an inch every year. But it becomes the biggest, most solid mountain, and it's never going to go anywhere. So you have to grow your business so gradually. Don't raise your prices by double right off the bat. Raise it by $100 each time. $100 each time.
That's huge.
Because if you think, and I've made this mistake 1,000 times, I was at $1,500, and then somebody came to me with a $3,000 budget, and I'm like, "That's it. Our new price is $3,000."
Right.
And then I start saying our price is $3,000, and then I stop booking clients. Don't get fooled by the one-offs. Don't assume that you've broken into a new price bracket because you've gotten one job that paid way more. Still,
that happened to me. Yeah, it happened to me. I had a yes at, to double the price. I was like, cool, I hit this price now.
Yeah.
And then I had a couple more, but it wasn't enough to sustain, so I had to drop back down. So I really like that. Gradually building $100 at a time is a great place to start.
Yeah. If you book the one client at triple your price, and you think that that's where you are, that's that fast growth that's going to be a pile of dirt.
Right.
And it's going to eventually wilt away on you, and it's not going to be sustainable, and you'll eventually be left with a much smaller mound in the end. You get that slow, gradual growth of the tectonic plates building this mountain. Then all of a sudden you have something that's iconic and sustainable, and it's going to stick with you till the end, because people will start understanding. You can't tell people that your prices have grown. It has to just happen. You have to set the understanding that this is your price range. And so speaking of how I got there, with weddings, that's where, at this point, I'm not advertising weddings. I don't spend any money to get my weddings. I just have one website, or one, offshoot of my website, skipperfilms.com/weddings. I post my price, and I say that you get all day. It's not based on hours. We understand that we're probably going to vary from 10 a.m. to midnight at the latest. It's a long day, so I'm just going to charge for that. The best thing I did was I posted my price. That doesn't work for everybody. You can't just post your price on just about anything, but I was learning that weddings were so predictable. Everybody wants essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
A lot of my competitors do. You can get just the 5-minute video, or you can get 5-minute video plus the 30-minute video, or just the 30-minute video, or the raw footage, or this and that and that. There were 20 other things. So what I did is I created a package that had all of it. Every wedding, I just do all of it. I know that's more work, but I get to charge more. So I find the client, and I actually charge less. All-inclusive package. Yeah, if I were to price out one of my competitors, that all of those things together right, is even more than mine.
Interesting.
Yeah. But what that has done for me, and I didn't really expect this at first, but what that has done for me is, by the time that they have contacted me, we've already agreed on price. We already have an understanding of what they're getting. Nobody's going to haggle with me. All they're asking for, it went from asking for, hey, what's your price? Can you do this? Can you just give me the raw footage? Can you just shoot my ceremony? It went from that to, are you available? I need you.
Interesting.
They've already agreed on.
I already did all the pre-work for them and just listing out.
If they don't,
this, you get this.
If they don't like my price, they move on and don't wait.
Man.
And I'm not saying it's a waste of time. I take it very serious. I want to have a good connection with anybody who contacts me, and I have a good repertoire with that. But if they're coming to me and I'll spend 2 or 3 days talking, negotiating with any of my clients. If it ends in, oh, well, my price cap was $500 for a wedding video, I spent the same amount of time as the people who were saying, oh, my price cap is $5,000. So I was just trying to make my time more efficient by posting my price and telling them exactly what they're getting and take it or leave it. And from that, all it is just bookings. All it is people asking if you're available. If you're available, I say yes. If they're not, and I say, sorry, unfortunately, we're not.
Right.
And then we move on. So that saved me so much time, effort. I'm getting the price that I want at all times, and the method of increasing my price is just changing the number on my website.
Yeah. Now, when you say starting increasing by $100, how often are you doing that with every new client that comes in, or what's the pattern?
So with weddings, I was probably going up. I would increase my price twice a year. So after each big wedding season, so like December, I would increase them when there was a lull between like December and March or April, and that picks back up again. And then maybe sometime around July or August, when the summer gets too hot for people who want to do a lot of weddings. Those were just a natural break, so I would increase my prices just before people start contacting me.
Okay, so kind of natural breaks of what you. So it's not like, oh, I have a new email, so I got to be $100 higher. It's like, I'm thinking just in terms of, I don't know, it's been pretty good this winter, but just generally for freelance, winter slows down a bit.
Yeah, at least for everybody. Yeah.
So that's when you can go back and maybe yearly you just increase by $100, $200.
Yeah, that's. And I don't want to say do $100 or $200. Feel it out.
Yeah.
I think my weddings went up by. I think I was doing $200 or $300 at a time.
Jumps, yeah.
Yeah, and when I started this, I was at. I want to say like $2,500 for a wedding.
So maybe jump it by like 10 to 50%.
Yes. Yeah, and again, feel it out.
Right.
I'm not saying stick to this exact plan.
Right.
Figure out what works and what doesn't work. If it's too high, then
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. If you kind of take, say you go 50 and you're not getting as many yeses, bump it back down to 30. Right. See where that's at. That makes sense.
so now our wedding packages right now are $4,200, and I feel like that's probably where I should be. So I haven't raised them in a year. So
Yeah, I have a lot of friends that do weddings, and that's in that range is pretty consistent. Yes, the higher end of, not shot on crazy cameras and huge apps, but the day-to-day wedding operators that's a pretty good price range.
yeah, and again, I don't specify based on the equipment that I bring. I mean, all my equipment, so it doesn't cost me more to bring this camera versus this camera. It doesn't cost me more to bring this kind of light versus this kind of light. It's just stuff. If they get anything that I have, I don't base it based on what I do. So that totally worked with wedding. I tried that approach with corporate events, or not events, but I did the small business package because I didn't want to eliminate. Maybe a big business wants to come in and give me more money. Right. I didn't want to say it's something as much. But with a small business package, and I try to do kind of the same thing, like around $4,000 for you get half day of filming, you get a couple of revisions, and then editing, you get the promotional video. That didn't work as well. And I think because there's less of an understanding of how much people will spend on videos.
Right.
Corporate video production is all over the place. It's hard to put your finger on where exactly the price range should be, because I've had huge companies come to me and lowball me with price, and I've had small companies have a real good understanding of how much video costs and want to pay me more than that.
Yeah.
So there's less predictability there with stuff like Wedding Wire and the Nod, and everybody. It's pretty apparent
weddings in general are higher. They're higher costs.
And yeah, it definitely is. And people will try to tell you that the weddings are just inflated prices, and you spend so much on a wedding, and it's the wedding tax. It's really not. It takes me 4 times as long to edit a wedding than it does with a corporate video.
There's so
more money on the corporate.
Yeah, right.
Way more money on the corporate. So it's just hard to, I don't know. It's I hate trying to explain and talk about why I'm charging how much I charge. It's easier to just work with clients who already understand. They get it. If they don't understand and they don't get it, they don't contact me.
Right.
And that's saved me so much time. So
yeah, that's awesome.
There's a cool experiment that was really successful, and also a good way of looking at how it was unsuccessful with corporate stuff.
Totally.
Yeah, totally didn't work that way.
So it basically sounds like for a lot of kind of all over the place clients or whatever, man, it jumps around a lot.
It does.
But also maybe so with that, with it jumping around a lot, with growth, how do you kind of gauge? Is there a general? Basically, you take your because you have different pricing packages. Sure. You just slightly raise each price package as you go.
I avoid the package price for corporates.
Okay, that's interesting.
I still do project price,
right?
But I don't have like a $4,000 package, a $7,000, whatever.
Sure.
I don't want to limit it to packages because everybody's gonna have a custom different. Everybody wants something different.
You have the project price range, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's again, going back to what I was saying, you just try to get an idea of what their price is on the phone. If they don't give you an idea and they want you to give them an idea, you give them a wide range that allows for really anything you could throw at it.
Yeah.
The big clients will understand that. That'll usually get a response. If they have an idea in the back of their head and they were trying to get something out of you, they'll say, we were hoping for $3,000 max, and you told them for $7,000. That's when you say, like I said, there's always ways to bring down, make it more efficient.
Right.
We can massage. We might have to sacrifice a little bit of quality, efficiency, whatever it is, but we can still work with you because that $3,000 is still $2,000 above what your expenses are.
Mm-hmm.
Your expenses are $1,000. You have your day rate, you have your editing rate, you have some random expenses, parking, food, whatever you need to do to feed crew. You still are making $2,000 for the business at that $3,000. So that's a job that I don't want to turn down.
Yeah.
Because they're $1,000 under what the range is that I told them. So you find a way to work with them. But don't make it sound like, oh, well, yeah, that's what I meant. $3,000. That's what I meant to say.
Sure.
You make it sound like you're going to have to not just stretch it or give you $1,000 discount, nor along the lines of there are a few things that we can remove from the equation that'll bring the price down. It might not be exactly your budget, but we can at least try to get close.
Yeah.
And then you come at them with, we were able to scale back a little bit, but then, I wanted to give a good faith discount, a couple $100 off to get you a little bit closer. Hopefully that helps. Sure. And it's $3,200 instead of $3,000. And all of a sudden, they not only, they're where they want to be.
Yeah.
You're where you want to be. Everybody's happy.
Now with kind of, that's a big thing that I run into is, going after kind of the small business market here, budgets aren't massive for what I've been working.
Sure.
And, when you scale back, what do you, I just have to say, is the money going into the business ever changed, or is that just that percentage stays the same and then the whoever's working on it is what changes?
I think it's just that buffer all above your expense just fluctuates. You can still, if they have a much bigger budget, do your best to appropriately assign some things to start filling the budget a little bit more. Bring on 2 or 3 people instead of just one. Actually, don't just give them the same product for $3,000 that you do for $7,000.
Right.
Increase it. Do better at your job. Make it a better thing. If you want to bring a slider down instead of just on a tripod, bring a slider, buy a slider if you don't have it. Do things to fill the budget as much as you can.
That's an interesting point, actually, because I guess no matter what the budget is, I play with all my gear. So setting, that's just an internal thing that I can do is like, okay, if it's bare minimum, they'll get a tripod and a camera. If it's more, I can bring in toys and ways to make it look better.
Right.
As well as, hiring out, graphic designer, drone operator, whatever.
I would bring in a slightly larger crew. The way that I go up and down on that is bring more people, more shooting days.
Instead of you doing DP, producer, and director, bring on a producer and a director.
Exactly.
Or, design, whatever.
Spread it out so it does become more efficient. It probably will make it shorter days or 1 day instead of 2 days. So you kind of have to figure out where you sit with that.
Right.
They're going to look at that and say, oh, well, it's less days. Should it be less money? That's something you have to play with personally. But, just add more to it.
Yeah.
You can say that this could be a 1-person operation, or we could turn the entire block into a movie set.
Right.
And rent, we can literally close off a block.
We can get this gorillas down, or we can make this a legit shoot and have permits and do freaking, whatever, and wallet.
Yeah, but don't just give them the same product for both of those ends of the price range. Actually do something about it. And what that's going to do is, if it's, $3,000 gets you one-man band, an editor, and maybe a couple of expenses here and there, and they want to book something for $7,000 or $8,000, triple your crew. Have 3 people, have 2 editors, have more revisions, maybe throw in an extra cut of the video that they can use for Instagram or something.
That's actually super interesting. I like that, actually, in terms of building out the internal packages that about, changing it, basically making higher level budgets have more deliverable options, or hey, we recommend you do this, and this instead of just this.
Right. So, but another thing I want to get into is value add items, and my proposals always have more value to them at either the same price or slightly less. I preface everybody, I'm not the cheapest. I'm also not the most expensive. What we strive for is having the highest value out of everybody. If you were to do apples to apples, our price should be, thousands of dollars more than our competitors, but we're less money than them, but we're also giving you a few extra things because that's where we really
Understand
what you need, and we want to make sure this is the highest return on investment you could possibly get. So an example of that is somebody will come to me. I can tell that they want a good social media presence with this video. That's where it's going. It's Facebook. And they want it to be that promotional 2-minute brand video that they do. They'll say, we're trying to get prices from a couple different production companies. I know that I'm competing with people, so I need to find some way to stand out. If the standing out because of your content, if your videos aren't better than theirs, everybody's going to have just a different style. Like I said, it's not better, it's not worse, it's just different. It's art. What you do, or what I do, is I say, well, I see what you're doing. I see that you're trying to fit within a budget of $5,000 or $6,000. What I want to do for you is kind of give you a better social media presence. So for free, we'll throw in an Instagram cut of the video. 30 seconds, no dialogue, just kind of music and all B-roll. It takes me half an hour to do.
Yes, super simple.
But they'll look at that and be like, and when they're comparing proposals, they'll be like, oh, they're the same price, but this guy's offering an Instagram video. And
little add-ons.
That is, it's the easiest way to add more reach to their video and more value to your proposal and more legitimacy to your claim that you should be the production company.
Because you're
to take
aware of the way that everything is current.
You give it. So hit my watch. You're giving them the way more ammunition. You're getting them something they didn't ask for.
Right.
Never give them a proposal for more money because it adds in things that they didn't ask for. If you do that, they're going to be like, I didn't even ask for this, and you guys are charging us money for it. If you're going to add something, add value, just do it for free. And either have your margins large enough that you can fish this with Bill, running it hire an editor for half an hour or whatever to make this super easy cut. It's something very easy. It's not going to cost that much. It's not going to cost that much time. But things like that, like this big, huge job for Stanford Children's Hospital that we just got, it's all 360 video. The thing that I had over the other guy that they were talking to, the other guy only did 360 video, and we do 95% regular video with a 360 video ability.
Sure. So you did both.
The thing that I did is say, hey, I know you want 360 video to help our chances a little bit. I'm going to throw in a promotional video or just kind of like a nice clean 2D video that you can put anywhere you want of all the spaces. So we're just going to double duty everything. We're going to shoot it in 360 and shoot it in a regular video, and that way you can put it wherever you want.
Yeah.
And you can put this video literally anywhere you want and reach twice as many people now. And they saw that and be like, oh, wow, these other guys aren't even offering that, and they're twice as much money. And when I'm talking twice as much money, I'm talking that this is the biggest job that I've ever done. It's a lot of money, and I'm half as much money as the other guy.
And they're just doing 360.
And they were just doing 360.
Did you throw the add-on for free with?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Because it was you had your margins already.
My margins were met long ago.
Yeah.
And you know what that did?
Gives you freedom to play with that.
So it gives me this huge buffer to be able to buy some equipment to increase the value of my product a little bit. But what that started doing, and it started this chain reaction of them trying to compare. This is actually one of the more successful versions of me being too cheap. Is we were still a good amount of money, way over our margins, but we were way below what they were thinking. What they did is they saw our product as being on par with their product, so they came to me and said, okay, well, now we're stuck with, you guys have the same product and are offering the same thing. They literally gave me the website of the competitor and said, can you look at their website and tell me what they're doing differently than yours? Because they're twice as much money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, no problem. And the reason he came to me is because, here comes full circle, I was his friend at this point. We've had 10 phone conversations. We've gone back and forth. I've talked to him. I've given him ideas of how we can make this the best it could be. And he has just been in love with my mind since then.
Right.
So he kept coming to me, and he kept coming to me for advice. He wasn't able to do that with the other.
Right.
So he kept coming to me and saying, what is he doing different? And I said, oh, well, he has this rig instead of what I use. I use the 4K rig and not the 8K rig because 4K is all that Facebook's going to let you do, and 8K is, I feel like it might be a little overpowered.
Oh, yeah.
He said, can you give me a quote for the 8K rig? Because we need to start filling the cabin. He asked for an increase in price. I said, absolutely. Next week, he asked for another increase in price. We increased the price 4 times. And now what that has done is I have ended at the same price that the other guy came in with more value.
Yeah.
I'm offering them now twice as much 360 work and, a professional regular video that we're also doing.
So he's feeling like I got all this stuff and I was in it and worked with somebody that I trust.
Yeah.
And you've doubled the job.
Yeah, exactly. So it just started, building on top of each other because I was adding value. And they were allowing me to add value because they saw me as easier to work with because my attitude was good. I befriended him. I gave him a very candid ear. Like I was telling him things. I was disclosing, and it's the worst. Downtown Denver. I was disclosing things about my company and about how this actually should go down that I probably shouldn't have disclosed because it was very insider information. And hey, I'm just going to be candid with you. And what that did is that built the trust. He now trusted me. I'm not holding anything back from him. I want this job. And he understood that. So he gave me more of a chance to be able to revise my quote to put them together, because it was to apples. He wanted to see what this price looked like with me versus this other guy.
Which is smart on his end, too.
Smart on his end. It doesn't always work that way, but that's the last 5 years of me being a decent human being to these people has built up to this moment.
Exactly.
And I can't tell you what specific moves got me here, but, I could tell you that it started that free 360 video that I did for the hotel. I can tell you it started with starting to treat my clients like friends instead of clients. And just, good SEO, because this is San Francisco contacting a Virginia video production company because there are so few people doing 360 video professionally. Like, I can't plan for that.
No,
but it worked because I wasn't thinking ahead, but I was thinking this could be something. So I'm going to go all in.
Yeah. So it's just my intuition. That's a huge thing that's why I'm putting time into the work up front and maybe taking a little bit extra non-paid time up front for like the online courses thing, because and it's not Kickstarters, it's like we're going to sell these and like a marketing lady and all this stuff.
Yeah.
I really think in 5 to 10 years, even less, that online, even it already is, online education is taking over. So being first in that space for the things that I'm doing, like I totally see the value of it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, being able to offer a specific style of video, I haven't figured that out yet.
Right.
And it sounds like you're on the way to figuring that out. So that'd be awesome. For me, it was simply just, keeping on top of technology trends and figure out what might work. I mean, I did buy into 3D a little bit, but that was before I had a ton of money. So I was like building my own 3D rig, like out of a piece of metal and 2 flip cams side by side. And I would figure out how I make this either, top bottom 3D for polarized TV, for Polaroid glasses. I could do the red blue, which, you put on the red blue glass. It is. I figured I taught myself. I was legitimately interested in learning about how cameras work and how to build a 3D rig. And, you set the lenses as far as an eye, you might not see it when they're sitting there, but once you put them together, you see the difference in the frame and you see how it is 3D. But that's that just didn't pan out. I bought in and it was a wasted investment, but you do 3 of those and one of them works.
100%. Yeah. And I think the main thing with that too is diversifying and not being negative on new trends. Not being like, oh, I don't like that, 360, whatever, that looks weird, I don't want to do it. No, you can't have that mind with business. It's what is hot right now, what is like, you can't have, personal opinions aside, if you really don't enjoy doing it, don't do it. But if you are, as a business, if you're like, this could potentially be big,
10 years,
be open to it.
10 years ago, when Facebook was still young, online, having a website was superficial. You didn't necessarily need it, but it was 15 years ago. But the culture was very different. If somebody were to tell you you could make $100,000 a year by posting memes on your Facebook page and making memes and literally taking videos and putting your logo at the bottom of it, like the dude from SoFlo.
Yeah.
He posted a picture of himself like, I'm living the dream. I bought a BMW i8 as a $100,000 car because he owns a website that literally takes somebody else's content, puts his logo on it, and I'm sure that it's going to cause a whole bunch of problems later on. But he's making a ton of money doing it. Like, a ton of money doing it. You can't plan for that. 10 years ago, you would think whoever told you that would be the thing is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
So you just gotta have
Age is just, anything can, anything can happen. If it just hits right at the right time or you put enough work into it, like literally you can do anything with the internet. You can do anything you want.
Yeah.
Like it's open. You just gotta really double down on it.
You keep an open mind about what's hot, what's not.
Yeah.
Just keep evolving, keep changing. Don't stick to what you know.
Right.
Expand. Stick to the stuff that you don't know as well. Like, just take a couple risks.
And you bring your style to everything. And that's what the main thing is. Like, find, your version of 360 video or this other thing. Like, what is your...
That's not even the style that people are after. The style of Snowman films is your personality.
Right.
Style of Skipper films is my personality. The experience that we give them on set. The experience that we give them on the phone. How we present ourselves and how we talk to the client and how we're friends with them. That's our style.
And there's no trends that can go up and down. That's just specifically human interaction and experience, which is...
This day and time, we are all in a customer service industry.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're selling something on, even if your product is something that you sell online on Amazon, you still have to have the element of customer service. If you're video producers and your product is a video, you are selling customer service. You're selling a personality. You're selling the company personality. Once you start expanding from a one-man band to a company, your company still has to have that personality.
Yeah.
I've gone through a ton of people trying to do sales and different aspects of my business I've been trying to delegate that have been unsuccessful because they didn't have the personality.
That's actually huge. So what is your current kind of setup with the business? Like, how I got employees, you have contractors. Like, when do you have?
I have 2 employees. Brian Bolito, I knew him from parkour. He was on the tribe with me. We went way back. Solid human. We've always had a very similar personality, same kind of jokes, same kind of, this is how we get along with people. We can talk to literally anybody and have a conversation with them.
For sure.
It's not just, we can't associate with someone who's way into sports because that's just not our forte. We can talk to them about sports. We can talk to this person about the arts. We can talk to this person about, we just have our hands in every different area of what's popular, what's fun, and if we don't know anything about their interest, we talk to them about it, ask them to find out about it, and we say, "Not awesome. That's so cool that you are making a living doing this."
What does he do for you?
So he's my right-hand man. He does
number two,
and because it started out as just kind of freelance guy, so I would bring him in as camera guy, and then I started bringing him in to help with a little bit of editing. And then from there, I started seeing that his skill set was growing, so I started adding more to it. And instead of doing the first cut of just calling all the footage to the usable 4 seconds, 4 seconds, 4 seconds, 4 seconds, taking those
long clips and kind of put this assistant editor type thing.
Yeah, exactly. I started putting him on the second to last round of editing where he would start assembling the storyline because he would understand exactly how the Skipper Films technique is to put it all together. And from there, I was learning that on set, he was talking to the clients like I was talking to the clients. He would have the same personality. He would joke. He would make them laugh. He would make them feel comfortable. So he's been completely invaluable to be able to step in and
Get the trust there.
do the things that I would do. And he is still learning, and everybody's still learning. And I'm not even saying my ask is what I'm asking of him sometimes is not really that fair of me to ask, because just do it like I would do it. I have no idea what that is.
Yeah.
And then he would do something, and then I would say, and that's not how I would do it. Well, that's how I did it last time, so I don't know. And trying to put into words or document how you handle certain situations is impossible.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you need someone with a personality who can think on the fly, who just naturally thinks like you think. So that translates into the sales too. So I've started giving him some sales. When I think that a video is going to be less than $5,000, I'll give it to him, have him handle it. If we lose it, not a big deal. We still have bigger business. But if he gets it, we have a video for money. It makes us money, so that's great. And then I could focus on the bigger clients, and I went from paying him on a per hour basis for editing and a per project basis for shooting, to actually paying him for like the month full time.
That's great.
It's not full time yet, so I'm not filling his schedule with 40 hours.
Right, but it's still.
But I still pay him a salary.
That's great. And so it's basically it's consistent money coming in for him.
And then I have a wedding editor. So they're dealing with employee as a wedding editor. Taking weddings off my table is so huge for me because it saves me 20 hours worth of editing.
Yeah,
it's insane how much time.
So they're massive amount of work.
So I have her doing pretty much everything, and then I take the last round of edits, spend 2 or 3 hours just kind of fixing every little thing. And that what started out as 4 hours went down 3 hours, went down to 2 hours, which down to 1 hour. And now I don't really have to spend much time because she's 30 vendors what does she understand? Yeah. So just finding the people who understand why and not just what is huge.
That I completely agree. I think it's first based on personality, and skills can be taught.
I can teach people how to work a camera. I can't teach people how to be a better human.
Right. So just having good people around you. And that's a big thing that I'm really trying to figure out. I mean, I have people that I work with too, and I have some names that are popping up in my head that like really, and just knowing that it's going to be a process. So, and then, it may work out, may not, like, and that, so, when you said you started on hourly, what, just in terms of like real down and dirty, if you're cool with saying, and scaling, like, what did you start on him with hourly when you just started?
When it's not consistent work,
right,
you have to pay more per hour.
Right.
And that's kind of the harder part. Like I would be, like for a wedding edit, I kind of left it at, I think it was like $200 for that first round of edits, and it would take them, it would start taking them at like 10 hours to do it. But the more efficient they got, the more money they would make.
Perfect. So you set it up at, and just similar to what your clients get was a project rate instead of an hourly rate.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah,
because I couldn't afford to.
If they take 20 hours on something,
let's say it take a ton of time. So I said, okay, let's see how long this takes you. Let's find an average, and then basically
work with you and make it more worth your time.
Right. So I think I was trying to be as close to like $20 an hour to get these done because they were so, apart. But once it started becoming more consistent, I had to pay slightly less because it was more consistent. So I was still giving them more money. But there was more work, and there was more. There was more product, so we were making more money. But, I would just pay them less because I can't give somebody $20 an hour for 90 hours a week,
right?
And then just have them work around the clock. So I had to scale it back a little bit.
That's the thing. Even just starting out, like, especially in freelance, paid is paid. There's people doing a ton of, like, I know several high level production companies and never still doing free work. Like it's
Right.
So the fact that ability to pay, even if it's, hey, do 10 hours of work for, I can give you $150, but it's at least something to get you in the door and you can like build a relationship.
Yes. Totally.
That shows goodwill.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. That's it.
So yeah, that's where we started now. We're to a salary, so I give him this much, and I can just call on him. That takes him away from needing other jobs at work. That takes him away from being available for our shoots.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's awesome. You're for priority.
Yeah, totally. And and then we just got a space. We just got an office that's right. I'm spending probably more money on it than I'm making. Like it hasn't transitioned my business to be making more money, but we're making enough money to pay for this space. And I think what it's giving us is that feedback loop where I can, instead of him doing 10 hours of work at home, editing something and then sending it to me and then having these 20 things be wrong with it, he can turn around and say, hey, what would you do in this situation? Hey, how do I do this?
Right. In the process.
And then way more streamlined, way quicker. So I think just having that centralized location is huge.
Yeah.
And then going back to online presence, having that office space legitimizes yourself in bigger companies' eyes. And I'm not saying that that's for everybody. I'm not saying go out and buy a space right now. I'm saying
when you're able to scale, when you're ready to like handle that money wise, I think that's a good way to grow up.
Having a place to meet with clients is great because you might get a client who, a big client, Audi of America, doesn't want to meet at a coffee shop. They want to meet at your office.
Right.
And they want to see that their investment is in somebody who has it together.
Right.
So,
that's a good point. I think we covered it all.
Yeah, we need to
stuff.
Yeah.
But it'll be able to be broken up. We may post the whole thing to YouTube or something if anybody wants to watch. But hope we gave you guys some good. I've learned a ton, and I know a very specific game plan of what I'm going to do over the next 6 months to a year or so.
Yeah, again, it's the long game. Don't try to grow fast. Grow steady. Make smart moves. Take risks, but don't take stupid risks.
Yeah.
Do stuff for free because where you're going to get your money back is later down the road. Because that free work is going to turn into well-paid work.
Sure. Like strategic free work.
Yeah, exactly. Don't let anybody say, and another thing you're doing, like people are asking for work for exposure, Don't let them determine that the exposure is worth it. You have to determine that on your own. Tell them you'll do it for free because you think you can get something out of it, or tell them that you're not going to get anything out of it. If they're saying they have a bunch of connections, and you didn't already know that they have a bunch of connections, they probably don't have a bunch of connections.
That was the biggest thing. Another Facebook comment was just like, it's exactly what you said. If they tell you they have reach, but you haven't heard, like, you don't know that they have reach, they probably don't have the reach. But like if Casey Neistat or freaking Chase Jarvis or whatever big name creative come, you're able to reach out to them, for a fact, if you make something and they post it, massive amount of upside for you.
Yeah, totally.
And that's on you to decide. So if you know it's going to work, that's when to say yes.
Yeah. If you can maybe reach a new market, if somebody wants to do a 360 video for free, make a 360 video pay. I'm not saying don't do this exact thing, but do something new and be able to offer something new and come out of it being able to promote yourself as a more valuable company.
And that can even be something we were talking about earlier, is going to an old client with a new idea, doing it for free for them, so they'll just keeping that relationship going.
Yeah.
And then that gives you something new to play with.
Right.
And that's everybody wins on that.
Totally.
Awesome. Cool. I think we're good. Good to talk to you. All right. Let's go do some work.
Yep.